It's about 11 o'clock, and this is May 1st, 2020. And this is John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association, and we're here with a weekly update from Kathy Davis and the attorneys from Davis and Travaglini LLC. And welcome. Thank you for joining us again.
We are very happy to be here. Thank you for having us. I can tell you that we actually have some tenuous updates at this point. We have been on some calls with some judges, and we have a couple of judges who asked us to work up some suggestions and a form and that kind of thing. And so we've done that. We feel, really kind of privileged that they reach out to our law firm, for help with that. So that's good. One of the things that we're doing is an affidavit for our clients to give us that we can put with the lawsuits that were filed, because a couple of the judges have been questioning what evictions can be filed given the stay according to the CARES Act. And actually a lot of evictions can still be filed because they're not covered under the provisions of that act. So we have an affidavit that goes with that. We're happy to share that with you. And if you ask us to file a suit for you, we'll probably be asking you to complete that affidavit. Chris has, I might want to let Chris talk first because he has the most concrete information about a couple of counties. So I'm going to hand the phone to him.
Hey guys. So most of what I know about is St. Charles County and St. Louis City. St. Charles County is where we have the most information on. As you can imagine, they're trying to open up sooner than later. They're starting dockets the week of the 18th. We don't know what they're going to look like yet, but it sounds like we may get closer to a more normal scenario out there. They are going to prioritize landlord cases versus credit card, stuff like that. So we should know more next week on what they're going to do. But I think St. Charles is going to get back to normal, or whatever normal looks like, pretty soon. The city, they're saying they're also opening up that week, but they're still under the 10-person group gathering rule, so they can't do full-on dockets. So they're still debating what that's going to look like. They're saying 30 case limits. We have a phone conference with the judges there next Thursday to try to give our suggestions again. But I anticipate, you start going to get court dates in the city sometime in the middle of June. That's where I'm looking at right now. I don't know how long, what it's going to take. It is going to be a new reality where we're not getting court dates 3-4 weeks out. You're looking probably more like 5-6, I would guess. And so it lengthens the process, at least for a few months. My feeling on it is that if we go a couple months at the smaller dockets without outbreaks and things like that, we might see it loosening up, hopefully by the end of the summer. So we'll know more. We should know a lot more, or at least we'll have some updates next Friday, hopefully.
Okay, now I'm going to hand over to Christine, who is St. Louis County. And Christine and I sat in on a call with the presiding judge of St. Louis County yesterday, and she has some court dates that are tentative, and she'll tell you about those.
We basically have no firm information, at least nothing like Chris has for the other counties. We still don't know really when they're opening. They have at least said we're going to have court for anything that was previously filed on June the 4th. And then new stuff I had filed, at least for my judge, was issuing all those on June the 18th. Whether we will actually keep those dates, I have no idea, because St. Louis County isn't really giving us any straight answers right now. I think they're still not sure what they're going to do. But it's progress in that at least they gave us a date. I don't know whether we'll keep it or not, but that's what's going on in the county. And still no sheriff executions are being scheduled for anything where we already had a judgment and had an order filed. They're still not doing those yet. And I don't know when they'll do those again.
Okay, so we've talked before about the two threads of authority. There's the governor to the county executives, and then there's the Missouri Supreme Court presiding judge to the presiding judges of the circuits. As long as the city and the county have the stay-at-home orders and the limiting of no more than 10 people, there's not too much that the courts can do with those big dockets, except figure out how to split them up. So we're hoping to see maybe a little bit of a loosening on that. They've had some problems in the city with a number of sheriffs came down with COVID. So I think for a while, even if we had reopened, they wouldn't have had bailiffs for all the courtrooms and that kind of thing. So that's a little bit up in the air. We're hoping to get more guidance from the Supreme Court Judge Draper. He's having a Zoom meeting every week with all the presiding judges of all the circuits. And I'm sure you can imagine, if you're in Montgomery County or something, where you have a huge courthouse and maybe 10 people that show up, you can probably do your dockets pretty safely out there. And they don't have a high rate of the disease either. But in the city and the county where we've had the highest rates and the dockets are big, it's different to try to figure out how we're going to do that. We are working through our active cases that we filed. We are trying to see if we can go either through the landlord or possibly in some cases directly to the tenant and work out payment plans and get consent judgments, which we can either hold or file depending on what the deal is, but we'll have them to file if the person defaults, so that you're not just at the back of the line in July or something. So that's what we're trying to do. And I personally would probably recommend giving people liberal payment plans, because otherwise they're just going to default. If you can keep them paying something and then put some stuff on the back end or that kind of thing, you might be able to keep them. This is very situational, and your tenants better than we do. We assume they're all liars and deadbeats, but you know them better than we do. And whether it's just a sob story or whether they're really a good person who would ordinarily pay, they're just stuck in this disruption. But if you need help with that, we're happy to help you. I think we're going to be recommending to our clients that we start really filing soon, because we think they're going to put restrictions on the number of cases on a docket and that kind of thing. And so that means that the dockets will be backed up and you might not get court dates for a while. So I'm a little hesitant to totally recommend that today, but it's probably not a bad idea to do that. I hate to just take people's money. Not really, but I hate to just take people's money, but I think there is a chance of getting a very far out court date if you don't file soon.
I feel like even with,
I agree with what Kathy just said. And, the county is telling me I'm going to get all these cases that I previously filed, which I think I'm up to 50 or 60 cases that I'd filed since the beginning of March, that they're giving me this June 18th court date. But if that's not taking into account if they're going to limit these dockets, which means I may not be able to keep that court date for a lot of those. And those are things that have already been filed. So I feel like unless they're only 1 month behind, and again, you think you can work with them, someone who just isn't paying, didn't pay before, and you were kind of on the fence, you might consider really filing now just to get yourself in line and in the queue, because it could still be 2-3 months before you get into court, get a judgment, potentially get them out if they're not paying you anything at all.
So that, I think, is pretty much what we've learned this week. I will say that this Zoom conference we had yesterday with the presiding judge of St. Louis County, that's our biggest county, and the bulk dockets in there's 6 judges that do them. They're all on the same floor. So that's, every morning, a big stream of people coming into that area. I think they're just not sure how to handle it. They're just really not sure. Nobody wants anybody to die,
Right.
And no one we don't want I don't want Christine and Chris to be in danger. I don't want the clerks or the judges to be in danger, let alone the people. We've asked them to stagger dockets, to have them at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, so we can divide them into smaller groups and put all the trials and motions in the afternoon. And we've asked them to provide masks and possibly gloves for litigants coming into the courthouse that don't have them. And I hope they will do that.
Mhm.
for all of our safety.
Mhm.
So do we have any questions?
Um,
Explain what a bulk filer is. Okay. Is that the question?
yes.
Okay. In the associate civil dockets, there are some of us who file a lot of cases. And so we get what's called bulk filer status, where we're in front of a particular judge on a particular day. We're in Jefferson County in front of Judge Manansala on Tuesday. We're in the city in front of Judge Colbert Botchway on Wednesday. We're in the county in front of Judge Lassiter on Thursday, and we're in St. Charles in front of Judge Scheimel on Friday. This enables us to, not be in every courthouse every day, and to be more organized and everything with our presentation. There's different requirements for different jurisdictions about how many cases you have to file to have a bulk filer. But I've been a bulk filer since 1985, so I don't really remember what those requirements are anymore. But it keeps me in the same courtroom on the same day every week.
Another question there? The updates are really good, Kathy. I really appreciate you. That gives us a good range of what's going on here.
Yeah, well, we think we're getting closer, but if
To having real updates.
to having real updates. But can I repeat the current status? I can only see the first line of the question. So read it for me, Jim, will you?
Can you repeat the current status for St. Louis City Court?
Yes, I'm going to hand that back to Chris.
So the status for the city is that they're going, as of right now, unless the Supreme Court extends it, they're going to be opening up the week of the 18th. But for most of everything we do, it's in what any landlord is going to do, it's going to be on a bulk docket. So they won't be having bulk dockets right away until they figure out how to do it safely and with the city limits. Now, currently the city limits say you can't have groups of more than 10. So really, I'm being told on the 20th I can come in and continue my cases, but I can have the judge sign off on things, but they're not going to be really having anybody in court. So I don't anticipate that happening. I'm thinking the dockets at some level will start up in early to mid-June. Right now I've got cases on the 17th, similar to Christine in the county. But I don't know how that's going to happen, how they're going to work it out. I mean, it's going to be a mess. So hopefully we'll know more in the next couple weeks. I assume they'll get something in place before the 15th. But I think things are going to be constantly moving and changing so they figure out what works, and what doesn't, and also where the case numbers go. So that's where we're at.
It just occurred to me that some of you might file your own cases, and I'm not sure if they're letting you access the courthouse to do that, because I don't think a non-lawyer can file online. Is that correct? Right. So for next week, we'll see if we can find out, if you file your own cases, what the procedure is going to be for that.
Okay. Dwayne's got a question there. It's great knowing the latest status of what actions we can take to move it along. I'm lucky mine's running smooth. Okay, thanks a lot, Dwayne. Okay. And somebody said they found their case on CaseNet.
Good.
And then David, who would like to know, do you know if county public records building is open? Searches on day a deed of trust as an example.
Okay, well, there is a service that you can do online. What is that called?
Right.
I'm going to give this to Christine. She knows.
Right now, at least for St. Louis County recorder deeds, you cannot go in and file anything. They're only doing recordings. They're accepting them by regular mail, or if you're subscribed to what's it called? Simplifile. And I don't even know if non-attorneys, maybe you can subscribe to that. I don't know. It's a whole application process you have to go to, but they are still accepting recordings by regular mail. Whether you want to do that or not, I don't know. I can tell you that we filed, has it been 3 weeks now?
2.5.
I filed something, and we electronically file, so we use the Simplifile. And I filed something 2.5 weeks ago, and nothing's been done on it. So I think they're keeping maybe a skeleton crew there. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm not sure if they're so overwhelmed because they don't have the personnel to do what needs to be done to get these recorded. But usually we file something in St. Louis County electronically and it takes maybe a day. I mean, and now they just, all they say is expect delays, and I haven't heard anything from them. So it's taking a long time. But I do know that you cannot go in and file. It's by mail and electronically only.
There's something about scheduling appointments to get marriage licenses, and I can find that out for you. I know the clerk is doing it. I can find that out for you if you need it. We do e-record from here. If you need something recorded, we would help you if you needed us to do that.
Pay the recording cost.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Have us
Very helpful.
Yeah, maybe we'd charge you a little bit if we had to do the cover sheet, but yeah, we could submit that for you. And then I think there's another service. I think maybe part of the question was about searching the records. What's the name of that thing? Tapestry?
I think if you go on the St. Louis County recorder on that website, I think it lists in there the different, I don't know what you call them. I'm not technically.
Okay, Christine.
I don't know if it's a search engine or what.
Let me give it back to Christine.
If you go on to the St. Louis County recorder website, it does list the different search engines or applications or whatever you're going to call it. I'm not sure the proper term of what you can do to access deeds or other documents that have already been recorded with St. Louis County. There is a way to do that. It's a subscription service. Again, it's different than what I was talking about, that Simplifile. But there's a couple different ones, I believe. And if you go on the website, St. Louis County's website, it lists those, it lists how to access them, how to subscribe to them, etc. So you should be able to at least do that if you want to get copies of any deeds.
Yeah, or if you want to search title, I'm pretty sure it's called Tapestry.
That's one of them. There's
yeah, okay.
Different ones, I believe.
Tapestry is the one that I sort of know how to use. But
and it's something like maybe.
Oh, someone is providing the link. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a cost for the search.
There's a cost for the search,
and then a cost for the document to view
right.
it, a cost to print it.
I would also be careful because at this point, I don't know how up to date it is. Someone's saying it's a month. I don't think we pay a monthly fee. I think we
do it as a.
We pay as we go. Yeah.
We don't search it.
We use a title company for our stuff is weird. It's not normal closings generally. So we use a title company and they'll usually get us the documents for us for free. So we don't need to have a Tapestry prescription, but once in a while we do look stuff up on it. But I would bet they're behind.
Well, we know.
Yeah.
I mean, I filed stuff 2.5 weeks ago that they haven't recorded.
So. We filed, Christine does my recording for me, which is a huge benefit to me because I don't know how to do it. But she filed a document in St. Louis County 2.5 weeks ago for me. It has not been recorded. However, we filed a deed in Jefferson County yesterday and got it back.
They did it within like an hour or
yeah,
two.
Got it back right away.
Quick.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So your mileage may vary. Anybody else have?
Somebody asked, could you file a NOIS? I'm not sure what that is. Noise? Sounds like.
Tell me what it is.
Do you, Paul? What do you mean by a NOIS? What does that stand for? Notice to intent to sell. I don't know. Never.
No.
Is that something that you ordinarily would record?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that myself.
So
yeah,
I'm just gonna go off mute because it's easier to talk. It is a document that typically a rehabber will file it right after the deed is recorded. and it helps to facilitate the quick resale when you have rehabbed a property. So rather than keeping track of 100 different lien waivers, if you've recorded an NOIS, that's considered public notice to anyone who might be wanting to put a lien against the property, a mechanics lien type thing. And typically a title company is happy with NOIS that's been recorded with the deed.
Well, if it's something that's recordable, that you usually record with a recorder of deeds, yes, you could record that now. But as we've just been telling you, it looks like St. Louis County has some long wait times on that. I mean, it's possible that you could go to your title company and maybe they have some kind of, front of the line status that they could get something recorded for you more quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't wait to file or record it. Do it and get yourself in line.
Christine is saying, get yourself in line and go ahead and record stuff if you think you're going to need to now because it's taken a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anybody else? No, I don't see anything. I do appreciate that, Kathy and Christine and Chris. That's very good up-to-date information for us. We can all use that very much. Thank you.
Wait, SBA
Oh,
assistance.
got another one here. Okay, on the EIDL.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about those. We got a PPP loan, so I know a little bit about those. I don't know much about the EIDL.
I think that's more one for Stevens Plowman. He did a webinar for us a few weeks ago. I could see if he has the up-to-date information.
This is Laura Lennington, and I don't have any specifics. I can just tell you what I noticed the other day. I applied for PPP and EIDL long time ago when they were telling us to do both because they didn't know how they were going to play out together. I noticed a couple days ago that I got $1,000 deposit in my, and so first of all, a couple weeks ago, I got the PPP. And then I noticed a couple days ago, I got $1,000 for EIDL deposited in my business account, which they had been saying that they would be giving $1,000 per employee. So I don't have employees, so that makes sense. But it was just automatically deposited. I hadn't received any letters, no emails, nothing like that, but I did get it. And someone else can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that will be forgivable. And it can also be wrapped into the PPP. If you applied for both, it shouldn't be a problem. And that's all I've got on that. So it was a surprise to me though. So I thought I'd interject.
There's a banker who did a webinar for the Bar Association, and I will shoot his information to John. Maybe he would do a webinar for you guys too. And he seemed knowledgeable.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I got a PPP loan and we sort of understand it, and we're trying to, allocate our expenses correctly, but we're not sure yet. We'd really like to see the form for application for forgiveness so that we know exactly what's going to be required. And if I manage to lay my hands on one of those, I will send that to John as well so he can put it up on your website. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Completed. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I do.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we have any more questions. There's still a lot of unsure things I think on the loans.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get some updated information on that.
If you do, share it with me.
We'd be happy to do that. Yes.
Okay, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again. We really appreciate you taking your time to keep us updated.
Sure.
And
It's nice to do this with you guys every week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
All right. Bye now.